All right, hello everyone. This is Miss Morgan. So we're reviewing equations as functions. So it's an intro to functions, and you can just fill out your notes with me. All right. So the main ideas is that equations are the same things as functions. Functions can also be represented by an equation or a rule. An equation is just a rule. For you put in an input and you get an output. The equation will generate ordered pairs by taking an input that results in a certain output. The graph of an equation is the set of all its ordered pairs, which often forms a line or a curve. All right, moving on. Some example functions. So you, again, for a function machine, it's kind of like you put in an input and you get an output. So think of a function like a machine that takes an x value and produces a y value. The x value is called the independent variable because you pick it, while the y value is called the dependent variable. And that's because its value depends on the value of x. All right. So graphing functions by a table. So you're going to complete each function table, then graph the function. So for number one, what's very important to us is the actual rule. So our rule here is x plus 4. So this is our function rule. And the function rule tells you how to get your output. Okay. All right. And so then you just use that function rule to get your y. So again, our equation says that y equals x plus 4. So when you're giving your x, you just add 4 to find your y. So you just fill out your table. So you have -5 plus 4 is -1. -4 plus 4 is 0. -2 plus 4 is 2. And 0 plus 4 is 4. And then you just graph. So when you're graphing, you have your x comma your y. The x value is going to tell you to move left or right, while the y value tells you to move up or down. Okay? So, and of course we're moving all these directions from the origin. The origin is right here in the middle, which is 0, 0. All right, so from the origin for my first point, I'll go 5 left because the 5 is negative. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to the left, and then down 1. And I'll do the same for all the other ones. And I am done. All right, and since it's an equation, you can create or you can connect all of your points and they form a line because this is a linear function. All right, moving on to that next one. You do the exact same thing. You have your new function of 3/4 x minus 2. So I'll show you how to do the first one, and then you can see how I got my answers here. So the first one where x equals -1, I'll just plug in -4 for x. So I'll have 3/4 times -4 minus 2. So 3/4 of -4 is -3, and minus 2. My answer is going to be -5. And I'll do the exact same things for the last three. So I have 3/4 times 0 minus 2 is -2. 3/4 times 4 minus 2. So 3/4 times 4 is 3, minus 2 is 1. And 3/4 of 8 is 6, minus 2 is 4. So then you'll just graph these like we were doing before. 0, -2. 4, 1, and 8, 4 is going to be off the graph, but that's okay. And you just connect them because, again, you have a linear function, so it forms a line. All right, moving on. This third one is super easy. My function rule is 3 times x. So to get my y, I just multiply all my x's by 3. Okay, so we have -2 times 3 is -6. -1 times 3 is -3. 0 times 3 is 0. And 1 times 3 is 3. So then my first, and again, I forgot to mention this. All of the table values can be formed, or they can be changed into order pairs. So this order pair is -2, -6, -1, -3, 0, 0, and 1, 3. And then you just go ahead and graph them. So -2, -6, -1, -3, 0, 0, 1, 3. And again, you got your Elan. Alright, and last but not least, number 4, our function rule is -3/2 x plus 2. So I'll show you how to plug in the first one. So we'll have -3/2 x, our first x is -2 plus 2. So -3/2 times 2 is +3 plus 2 equals 5. Alright, next I'll have -3/2 times 0 plus 2, and that'll give me 2. Next I'll have -3/2 times 2 and then plus 2, and that'll give me -1. And finally I'll have -3/2 times 4 plus 2, and that'll give me -4. And so then I just graph them. So I've got -2, 5, 0, 2, 2, -1, and 4, -4. And again, I've got a linear function, so I can graph that line. Alright, so that is it for this first page. And let's move on to the second one. Alright, same thing for numbers 5 and 6. So we've got our function rule. So our function rule says that you're going to make x its opposite and then add 1. So that's what that negative means. Okay, so I'll write that out. Make x its opposite, then add 1. Alright, so let's go ahead and do that. So the opposite of -3 is +3, and then so I'm literally doing this, and then I'll add 1. So the opposite of -3 is +3, and then plus 1 is 4. The opposite of -1 is +1 plus 1 is 2. The opposite of 0 is still 0, plus 1 is 1. And the opposite of 4 is -4, plus 1 is -3. And I've got my ordered pairs, -3, 4, -1, 2, 0, 1, and 4, -3. And I just graph like normal. -1, 2, 0, 1, and 4, -3. Done. Alright, same thing for number 6. I've got my function rule. Alright, I've got that. And then I just plug everything again, in and again. So I've got the first one, I'll show you how to do that. So I have 1 minus 1/3 times my first x, which is -3. And I can just plug that straight into my calculator. Alright, so how I would put it into my calculator, it will look like this. 1 minus 1 divided by 3 times -3. Okay, so put it in exactly like this into your calculator and it'll give you your output. Okay, so I'll do that right now. 1 minus 1 divided by 3 times -3. And I got +2 there. Oops. And I'll do the same thing for all my other x's. So I got 0, and then I got 1 here. And then for the next one, when my x equals 3, I got 0 there. And finally, when my x is 6, I got -1. Alright, and then I just go ahead and graph. 0, 1, 3, 0, and 6, -1. Alright, got it. Alright, so we were done with that part. So next you have this part where we're given the function and the domain, so we have to find the range values. So this is what I like to do when I'm given this. I like to create my own function table, but I like to put the actual function rule in the middle. So this is what I mean. I do my x, I have my function rule, which of course is just this portion. So I've got x minus 5, and then my y here. My domain are all my x values. So your domain is all the x values, while the range is all the y values. Okay, so then you just go ahead and list your domain in your table. So we got 4, 6, and 8. And then you just plug in your x values in the middle. So you have 4, 6, and 8. And then you'll minus 5 per the function rule. Okay, so 4 minus 5 is -1. 6 minus 5 is 1. And 8 minus 5 is 3. Now I have my output. Your output is your y value, which is also your range. So you have your x value, domain, and input are all the same. And then you have y value, range, and output are all the same. Okay, so when I ask you to list the range, we'll just list it the same way that we were given the domain. So they just wrote it out, the full word, an equal sign, and then you have your little squiggly brackets. And then remember that you must list your domain and range in order from least to greatest. So list domain and range. From least to greatest. Okay, so ours is already in order, so we've got -1, 1, and 3. And that is our solution for number 7. Moving on to number 8. So again, I'll set up my function table. X, our function this time is 3x plus 1. And your y. And our domain is -1, 0, 1, and 4. All right, and then we just plug in. So we've got our 3's, our x's, and the +1. And you just solve. So you can plug in whatever's in the middle section. That can go straight into your calculator. So there's pretty much no way that you'll get it wrong if you're setting it up correctly. So plug that part straight into your calculator and you'll get your correct answer. So you'll have 3 parentheses -1 plus 1, and you'll get -2. And then you keep going and just change out your x values. And then I got 1 here. Next, I got 4. And finally, 13. And again, you list your range from least to greatest. And that's -2, 1, 4, and 13. I just ran out of space there. But yeah. Okay. And you do the exact same thing for the remainder of these problems. Okay. So we can just go ahead and do this. So I'll set it up for you. 4 minus x, and you got your y, -2, 3, and 5. Over here, you've got 3/5 x plus 2, and your y. And your domain is -10, 0, and 5. You've got x, 7 minus 1/2 x, and your y. -4, 0, and 6. And then finally, you've got x, -2/3 x plus 9. And you've got your y. So -12, -6, and 3. Okay? And your last one, x, 7 minus 4x, and y. -3, -1, and 5. And 1/4 x minus 5, and your y. Okay? And so then you just plug in, and remember to show your range in order from least to greatest. Okay, for all of them. And I'm not gonna keep rewriting that, so I'll just copy and paste. So you can go ahead and fill that part in, and you are good to go for our lesson for today. All right, thank you.